If you're still mulling over what that was all about, allow us to shed a light. Welcome to WatchMojo, and today we'll be explaining the ending of The Lighthouse.
Daddy! Let Neptune strike ye dead, Winslow!
We'd strongly advise you to watch the film before proceeding with this spoiler-heavy analysis. It's not surprising that The Lighthouse was directed and co-written by Robert Eggers, who made his feature filmmaking debut with The Witch. Eggers' sophomore outing is every bit as ambiguous as his debut film, leaving much up to interpretation. Before we dissect the final act, though, let's go back to the beginning. The film centers on Robert Pattinson as Ephraim Winslow and Willem Dafoe as Thomas Wake, two lighthouse keepers who must grapple with confined living space, strong storms, and growing tensions between each other. Part of what makes the dynamic between Winslow and Wake so fascinating is that we're never sure who to root for. As it turns out, Winslow actually stole his name and identity from a man who accidentally drowned.
What's a timberman want with being a wiki?
Just looking to earn a living, just like any man. Starting new.
On the run.
Given Winslow's violent outbursts and mysterious past, however, we wouldn't be surprised if his death wasn't really an accident. Dafoe's Wake is an equally shady figure who may be taking advantage of Winslow's wavering sanity. The ship that's supposed to pick up Winslow never arrives. Maybe this was due to the harsh weather, but what if Wake made Winslow miss the ship by messing with his perception of time? It's fitting that this movie is shot in black and white, as both characters are morally gray.
Went mad, he did.
Tall tales.
What?
In addition to his frustration with Wake, Winslow is overwhelmed with pent-up sexual frustration. He finds a source of pleasure in a small mermaid doll that the previous lighthouse keeper left behind. Soon enough, Winslow finds himself fantasizing about actual mermaids washing up on the shore. If you've ever wondered what a hookup between a mermaid and a human would look like, The Lighthouse gives us a rather graphic idea. According to British folklore, mermaids are unlucky omens that bring disaster with them. It's also possible that they're supposed to represent the sirens from Greek mythology. Anyone who follows the siren's song is bound to find death and corruption, which is exactly where Winslow's journey takes him. The Lighthouse is full of parallels to Greek mythology. In an interview with Vox, Eggers compared the film's two central characters to Prometheus and Proteus, even though those two, quote, never hung out in any Greek myths before. In this story, Wake would be Proteus, a sea god who Homer refers to as the Old Man of the Sea. In some myths, Proteus is depicted as the son of Poseidon, the god of the sea. Wake certainly has the commanding presence of a god, from his mighty beard to his practically biblical monologues.
How long have we been on this rock? 5 weeks? 2 days? Help me to recollect.
Winslow, meanwhile, is an allegory for Prometheus, who goes against the wishes of the Olympian gods and steals fire from Mount Olympus. If Winslow is Prometheus, then the lighthouse is definitely Olympus. Throughout the film, Winslow becomes increasingly fascinated with the lighthouse, but Wake refuses to let him in. Hell-bent on learning the truth, Winslow nearly buries Wake alive and ultimately ends his life with an axe. With nothing standing in his way anymore, Winslow finally climbs to the top of the lighthouse and opens the lamp. Engulfed by light as he cackles hysterically to himself, Winslow plummets down the spiral staircase to his doom. In the next scene, Winslow is lying out on the coast. It's unclear how much time has passed since his fall, but Winslow's intestines are now being picked at by hungry birds of prey. This was foreshadowed during the first act, when Winslow has multiple run-ins with a one-eyed seagull. Wake warned his young co-worker not to kill any birds, as it would bring nothing but misfortune. Nevertheless, Winslow ignored his advice and bashed the pesky seagull to a pulp. Shortly after, the winds begin to change, and it's all downhill for Winslow, who meets the same end as Prometheus. For stealing the fire, Prometheus is forever chained to a rock as punishment. Every day, an eagle returns to eat Prometheus's liver. Since he's immortal, Prometheus's organ always rejuvenates by the time the eagle returns. The eagle is notably the embodiment of Zeus, the king of the Olympian gods. After eons of torture, Prometheus is finally rescued by the divine hero Heracles. Since Winslow doesn't have immortality on his side, though, it's unlikely that he'll be rescued before the birds are through with him.
What made your last keeper leave?
He believed that there was some enchantment in the light.
As the credits roll, the audience is left with one major question in particular. What did Winslow see in the lighthouse? Much like the briefcase in Pulp Fiction, we'll likely never get a definitive answer. It could have been something supernatural, especially given much of the Lovecraftian imagery that plague Winslow's fantasies. Maybe the lighthouse imparted untold wisdom onto Wake, who wanted to keep it all for himself. Perhaps Wake was the guardian of the enchantment in the light and had to conceal it from Winslow at all cost. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Of course, it's also possible that there was nothing special about the lighthouse and Winslow just burnt his hand. The lighthouse is like the forbidden fruit in the story of Adam and Eve, or the whale from Moby Dick, something that mankind should have left alone. Whatever awaited inside, Winslow was destroyed by his own obsession, curiosity, and insanity. Along with Prometheus, you could also compare Winslow to another Greek figure, Icarus. Both flew too close to the sun, had a great fall, and met a dire fate by the sea. Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.